Have I bought way too many books recently? Maybe. However, I did win a bunch of awards, so it's fine. Hi guys, welcome back, bienvenue and all that jazz. It's time to talk about some books. Or specifically, today is going to be part one of, I think it'll be two parts, my recent book haul. I went to visit some booktube friends in Arizona last month in the beginning of July, and I got way too many books to the point where Elle had to ship my books back to me, and the box weighed 37 pounds. So there's lots of books to talk about, so let's just dive straight in, shall we? So first off, I'm going to do some self-pub books that I got. So before I dive into like the Arizona book haul, I recently won a giveaway on a fictional escapist channel. Chris, the creator of that channel, recently hit a milestone. I want to say it was 200 or 250 subscribers, somewhere in there. And in celebration of that, he did a giveaway, and I happened to win. And so I told him, send me some of your favorite self-pub books, and so that's what he did. So he sent me Starbinder by Mark Timmony. This is a prequel novella to The Blood of the Spear, which I have a full spoiler-free review of The Blood of the Spear that I'll link for you if you want more information about that. I would say, if you like novellas and you want to dive into a novella before a bigger book, you could start here, but I like more to sink my teeth into, so I would recommend reading The Blood of the Spear before this, but you do you, boo. Oh. Then Chris knows how much I loved Dragon Mage. It's still one of my favorite books that I've read this year, so he sent me a couple other books by the same author, Miss L. Spencer. So this is her Chaos Cycle duology. So there's Chains of Blood and Chains of Legacy. I don't even know which order these go in, TBH. Okay, so Chains of Blood is number one. So I did them in the correct order. I have no idea what these books are about. Somebody is the son of a demon and shenanigans ensue, so I don't really need to know too much because Dragon Mage was so good. I'm willing to kind of go out on a limb with M.L. Spencer and see how we do. Then we get a little random. Not gonna lie. So this is Master of the Flying Broom by Joseph J. Bailey. I know nothing. This cover kind of makes me like happy though, with like some dude in like the Breakfast Club position with a broom. So it sounds like kind of the reject at this martial arts monk training place, and he was given a broom to clean up the facilities, and then one day demons come and he has to help defend it. Okay. And then the last thing that Chris sent me was Waking Ursa Minor by Helen Rygh-Pederson. And this is the one of the cool things about self-pub books is they kind of tend to have like more goodies when you take off their jacket. So here it is in its nude glory. And I think it's super cool, super tribal looking. So I'm not totally sure what's going on in this book. It sounds like there are some islands and kind of the earthy magic that was like sustaining them is dwindling, and there's some kind of plan to rescue them. Then I'm continuing my Drizzt collection. So there's one or two trilogies kind of in the middle that I'm missing. So this is one of those, The Orc King. This is book one of the transitions. So I still need Pirate King and Ghost King. And then I think I'm also missing the Hunter's Blades duology. So once I get that, I am pretty much up to date with my Drizzt books. So not too bad. My collection continues. And on that same vein, a brand new Drizzt book just was released. So this is Glacier's Edge. This is book 2 of The Way of the Drow. So this is the most recent trilogy. I tend to wait for the Drow trilogies to be complete, and then I binge the whole trilogy because I'm impatient, and they're always like super short. So I have no idea what this most recent trilogy is about. I really don't want to give you any spoilers, synopses or otherwise, because it could be very spoilerific since this is what, like book 32 or something in the series overall. If you want to get into the Drizzt books, I would recommend that you start with the Dark Elf trilogy. So that's Homeland, Exile, and Sojourn. That will introduce you to Drizzt. That will introduce you to the Underdark, which is this series of caverns beneath the wider world of Faerun. That will introduce you to Drow culture and its matriarchness, and Lolth, who is the patron deity of the Drow, and it's Drizzt's internal battle because the Drow society is very cutthroat, very not so nice, shall we say naiveful, and so he really struggles with that and tries to escape to the surface world. And so this is much, 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 much later than that. But these covers are so cool. So we'll just drink her in. So this is Glacier's Edge. Then everybody and their mom has been reading Codex Alera recently, so I wanted to check it out for myself and see how I feel. I am lukewarm on the Dresden Files, at least to date. I've read the first 3 books in that series, and I don't necessarily vibe with Harry Dresden and Bob, or whatever his name is, the pervy skull. They're just, I don't know. I'm going to continue the series for sure whenever book 4 comes through on my Libby app, but for now, I've heard a lot about the Codex Alera, so this is his other, like, more fantasy-ish series. And I've heard it kind of mixes, like, elemental magic and Pokemon. And so I was intrigued. I haven't been hearing the best things about this, but it sounds kind of like one of those series, like every freaking high fantasy series ever, where they're like, oh, just read the first 3 or 4 books and then it'll get good. So, I don't know. I don't have any plans to read this right now, so I'll read it when I read it. Then I was really in, like, my gay feels, and I've just been kind of looking for male-male romances written by gay men, which is shockingly difficult to find. And so one of those that I found is Out of the Blue by Jason June. This just sounds like adorable, like, mermaid human sweet romance. I really don't know that much about it. I've talked with the author on Twitter a little bit, and he just seems lovely, and so I wanted to check out one of his books, and if I love it, he does have another book out called, like, Jay's Gay Agenda or something that I'll check out if this one is great, but I mean, it just looks adorable. Then Elle knows I've been struggle busting to find some, like, fantasy romance that does it for me, and I tend to prefer more fantasy, more plot, a little bit less on the romance side, and so she convinced me to try out The Bridge Kingdom. So this is by Danielle L. Jensen. And it's something about, like, a girl is training to be an assassin and gets sent to a kingdom to assassinate and ends up falling in love with the dude or something. I really don't know much. It sounds interesting enough. Like, I'll definitely check it out. I haven't heard many people, especially on the booktube sphere, talking about it. So we'll see how I get on with it. But yeah, so fantasy romance, I guess? Or is it even fantasy? Is it just historical? Who knows? Only one way to find out. Then I picked up a copy of The Bladed Faith by David Dalglish. This is book 1 in the Vagrant Gods trilogy, I want to say. Book 2 is coming out in January, and I have an arc of it. So I can't wait to get to that because this book is so much fun. I have a full spoiler-free review of this book that I'll link if you want more deets about it, but it's basically rebelling against the evil empire, and if you're one of those people who tends to struggle getting into, like, bigger fantasy because they tend to start quite slow with a lot of world building, this starts right from the jump with an epic battle involving the deities of this island nation trying to fight these invaders with godlike powers. So highly recommend. Then the July Illuma crate has arrived, and it is The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd-Jones. And so I'm kind of torn on this one because I really like, I'll post a picture of it, the original cover with kind of the pinks and the blues. But this is still kind of cool, especially with, like, some of the texturing that they did on it. And then we have beautiful sprayed edges. We have lovely embossing. And then we have character art underneath the dust jacket. So I haven't heard really anybody talking about this. It seems like it's some kind of, like, ocean-y based fantasy. I don't know how much more I want to know. I definitely need to, like, get a jump because I have, like, 3 or 4 Illumigrate books now and I've read 0 of them. So we're just going to put that over there. Then I picked up The Dawn of Yangchen by F.C. Yee. He's been doing duologies following previous avatars. So if you know, there's the Nickelodeon series called Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we're following Aang, who is the Avatar and the final Airbender. So in that world, there are 4 different kind of tribes, if you will. There's the Fire Nation, the Earth Kingdom, the Air Nomads, and the Water Tribe. And so the Avatar basically has access to all of their previous lives, and they can bend all 4 elements. They're the only person in this world that can do that. And so FCE has been diving into the previous past lives of some of the previous avatars. So this is the previous air nomad avatar, Yangchen. There's also a duology following the previous Earth avatar, Kyoshi. And I would not say that you need to have watched all of Avatar: The Last Airbender to enjoy these books. These might even be a gateway into watching the show for you. So I would highly recommend checking them out. At least the Kyoshi duology is complete, and I really enjoyed that. And that's like, how did Kyoshi become the Avatar? This one seems like we're following Yangchen a little bit later in her life when she's kind of battling some kind of crime syndicate in a city. So I'll let you know. So then while I was there, I also picked up a copy of Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. I got this one signed and personalized to me while I was visiting her. And this book is a lot of fun. If you like political fantasy kind of mixed with almost Final Fantasy type characters and monsters, then I would highly recommend you check out Peace and Turmoil. It's a debut self-pub fantasy, lots of cool extras with like character art, monster art, and all of that kind of stuff throughout. I do have a full spoiler-free review video of this one, so if you want more deets on my thoughts, feels, etc., I'll link that above and below. Then, if you watched my July wrap-up, you'll know that I just finally got around to reading A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I've seen the entire Game of Thrones TV show through multiple times, and so to be ready for when I want to pick up the next Game of Thrones book, I got the illustrated editions of A Clash of Kings and A Storm of Swords, and good lord. And these illustrated editions are actually really super nice. They're like, they open super nice, they have nice like cloth binding, and they have tons of illustrations. At least the first one had like illustrations after almost every chapter, so that just kind of added to my reading experience. But I loved A Game of Thrones, and I cannot wait to continue my journey through the Song of Ice and Fire books. Then Elle gifted me a copy of The Final Strife by Miss Saara El-Arifi. This is another book I have a full spoiler-free review video for. I'm such a good book doer. Like, oh, if you like reviews and stuff. But this is very like desert fantasy. There's this thing called the tide winds, which is this like blue sand that gets blown through every evening, that if you're caught out in it, it will like rip the flesh from your bones. There is a very dramatic caste system, magical competition, blood magic, where they use their blood to write different kinds of runes, bisexual love triangle that's actually really well done. There is just so much good. It feels kind of like old school dystopian, but in fantasy form. So I would highly recommend, if that sounds good to you, at least check out my review video to get more details for whether or not this book is for you, but it is a lot of fun. And then the last book I'll talk about is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This is another one. I have a full spoiler-free review video that I'll link above and below. This is the lovely Fairy Loot edition that's all purple instead of reds and oranges and yellows. This is Arabic-inspired fantasy, lots of djinn. It very much feels almost like gender-bent Aladdin in a lot of ways, and it's just super fun adventure fantasy. If you're looking for like the most compelling characters, I don't necessarily know that this book will scratch that itch for you, but if you want a super fun adventure with genies and djinn and all of that kind of cool stuff with almost like a gender-swapped Aladdin retelling, if you will, then I can't recommend Stardust Thief enough. It's a very good time. Okay, so we put a huge dent in the books that I have hauled recently. I think we've gotten through at least half. So I'll cut the book haul here, and I'll do another one maybe next week to finish off talking about all the things that I've purchased recently, and this is probably all I will purchase. Hopefully before I move next year, there may be some other anticipated releases or pre-orders that I forgot about that will come in, and I'll haul those when they do. Have you read any of these books? If you've read some of the books that I've talked about, that I've also read, feel free to chat with me down in the comments, or if there's any of these ones that I haven't yet read that you want me to prioritize and talk about on the channel, let me know that as well. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And there's also in my description, there is links to my Instagram, my Twitter, my Discord if you want to chat with me on a more slightly regular basis. So feel free to join me on any of the socials if you'd like. But I think that concludes all that I want to talk about today. I have gotten way too many books. Where am I going to put them? Stay tuned. I may need to do an unhaul. I have like a pile that I've been meaning to unhaul for years. So if you're interested in me doing an unhaul video, let me know. I'd be happy to do that for you. But I think that's where we'll end this video today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!